Welcome to the world of Q&Asa. Episode 11. 11 weeks of this, which means there's bound to be some people come along. So we've got a nice little, I'd say, regular group of people that come and talk to me, which is brilliant. This is a week of, some people would say, like, there's not been all that much news, but there's always plenty to talk about. But before we do, a word from my sponsor. Sponsors Game On Daily, that's me. And it's the website that hopefully people, as I've been saying, week on week, great place to go and get your gaming news, make some friends, talk to some people, connect with your new favourite content creators, and it's going to be brilliant one of these days. So we're going to keep pushing that, adding new features and doing all kinds of things with Game On Daily. I see plenty of people already turning up to say hello, which is nice. So Painful Discourse, Wayne, Patrick, Peter, and Isla all here already. Welcome along. We're going to start like we always do, which is talking about games that we've been playing. And I'm trying to make a habit for all of the topics that we go through, even this nice light starter. I ask the questions at the start of the topic so that the show structure is reasonably coherent in that you can volunteer answers as we go, rather than me keep on pulling the topics back and forwards, as I have been doing on some previous weeks. So, obvious question, what games have you been playing? Are they good? Or are they terrible? I've been playing. I've got 3 that I'm going to go through, and you can mention if you've played them or not. Some unlikely, but some you might have done. So, the first one that I've been playing that I'm going to talk about is Doom. Not Doom Eternal, not Doom 2016, not classic retro Doom. If you've been following my Twitch channel at all, which you should, by the way, we have good conversations there as well. But if you've been following any of that, I have been running around on a treadmill like an idiot, playing Doom VFR, which was Bethesda. It's a proper VR game made by Bethesda, before they were acquired by Microsoft, when they were still allowed to be fun. And I play it on my treadmill, which is really, really difficult. So if you did come and watch it on Twitch, then you know this. I died so many times. The thing with Doom VFR, it was made for PC and PlayStation, and the PlayStation is very limited in how you can move. So the game is entirely built around the idea that you'll be teleporting, not walking. Definitely not walking on a treadmill. And you can feel it when you're playing it. The game goes a little bit janky if you walk into the demons too close, but it's brilliant fun. Really, really, really difficult. I keep on getting killed because, like I say, I'm supposed to be teleporting around and blinking all over the place, and I'm not. I'm running and sweating on a treadmill. But it looks really nice. Oh, there we go. There's me dying already. Died to a typical grunt. But it's really fun. I've got some answers coming in already. As Dusk Falls, Wayne, are you playing it through the first time, or are you doing multiple playthroughs? I've heard good things about that. Patrick's finishing Tiny Tina's. I've still not started that. It's still quite an expensive proposition. I do want to play Tiny Tina's. And you're going to be getting onto Cult of the Lamb. Yeah, there's a couple of games that have come out this week that I'm interested in. So there's 2 Point Campus and Cult of the Lamb are both out now. 2 Point Campus is on GamePass and I've got it downloaded, but I haven't started it yet. Cult of the Lamb is not on any subscription service yet, I don't think. But it looks good and I want it. It's £21, I think. So maybe when I'm back from holiday, I'll treat myself to a little Cult of the Lamb. Peter Mulland has restarted Ori, implying that you didn't finish it, but you wanted to go back to the beginning anyway because you forgot the controls and stuff or where you were going. Fair enough. And Patrick's son is asking for both Robux and Apex coins. Don't give them both. Got to learn. Got to learn that you can't have either. Am I going to stream Campus? 2 Point Campus I may well do. Oh, Peter's restarted Death's Door as well. Peter, are you just getting lost? Is this what happens? You forget where you were, go back into the games and just go, I've got no idea where I was, because I can see they're happening on Death's Door and Ori. Both games are. I like that in the way that they ask you to retread steps. I try not to restart things. I don't have time to replay things, really, if I can help it. There's too many games to play. too many games to play for me to be going back and starting again. Yeah, put them aside and forget and get... Yeah, some games have really nice, like, catch-up mechanics. So if you've taken a break, when you start it up, it gives you a little reminder of what's going on and where you were. I think that's a difficult thing a lot of developers don't comprehend when they're making it and playtesting it, because when they're making the game, it's like the only thing on their mind. And they playtest it and they assume that everyone going through it is going to have this constant level of like training and knowledge, which is sort of fair. It's sort of what you want. But then in real life, they kind of need to cater for people that are taking like months off and going back, which is a difficult thing to kind of assume someone's position and know what information you need to give them. But that's why they're professional, so hopefully we'll get there. We do have, by the way, if you hadn't noticed, new background. Let me get rid of my Doom repeated deaths. New background, new OST. They're not easy this week. Are they? The OST is not easy. The background, if you've played it, you'll probably recognise. And even if you haven't played it, there's a few last party dead body hints on screen for you. So I imagine some people will guess either way. What else have I been playing? So I just restarted Emblem. So that's a Fire Emblem game. And you skipped all of the dialogue on your replay because you've seen it before. Yeah, certain games are more suited to playing again than others. And Painful Discourse is waiting for the Outer Wilds next gen patch. Is that getting a next gen patch? I played Outer Wilds a little bit on the Series X, and yes, the 30 frames per second was pretty jarring. So hopefully it'll get one. And Lifeless Planet, which is an old indie that I don't know. There's a box just to the right of where you're stood. Oh, Outer Wilds is coming on the 15th. I'm not going to go back and play it. So Outer Wilds, I played enough to do a little video that's on this YouTube channel, actually. I played it enough to do a little video, decided it's probably not my kind of game, but I did hit Google and find out what the hell was going on. So now that I've done that, it would be no fun to play anyway. The game is Xbox. The game is not Xbox. The game in my background is available on the Xbox, but that's the PC version that you can see right now. The bus station is not too far from where... I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I'm gonna scroll up and see if Wayne has said what the game is. It's fine. It's fine. So what else have I been playing? So the flight mechanics in Outer Wilds just feels bad. A lot of Outer Wilds didn't feel good to me. It's supposed to be a case of... It's quite an interesting mystery that you go through and solve. The box behind me. The box behind me. No, the box behind me. Does it have wires in it? No, all magic. All magic. And Patrick has got the answer for the background. The background is very much Dying Light 2, right near the start of Dying Light 2. It's not a game that I've actually played beyond the tutorial. No, in the game, the box is to my left. I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to move on from the box because it's confusing me. Anyone that is watching this back after the fact, by the way, leave comments for all of the questions as we go through. Leave some comments, ask your own questions, give your own answers, because I do go back and read every single one of them, and they are appreciated. What else have I been playing, though? Let's move this along. So, Wreckfest. This is a surprise. This is a guilty confession, because Wreckfest is a racing game, and it's a pancake racing game. And if you followed these shows regularly, you'll know that I don't play pancake racing games. So I've actually got no idea why I tried Wreckfest, like what inspired me to play it. It's on GamePass. It's on PlayStation Plus as well. It's available on... I think it's on PC Game Pass. So it's on pretty much every platform, because nobody counts the Switch, so who cares about that one? So Wayne, you bought Wreckfest early release on Steam. Peter Morland loves Wreckfest. It's really good, isn't it? Like, it is a pancake racing game, but it is one that it may be more suited to playing on a screen, because half the fun is just watching things get smashed up rather than race. It's got no rewind mechanic, so you can't cheat time. The difficulty... I played it... This is weird, actually. I played it on the PlayStation, first of all, just because I found it really, really easy. And then I moved on to the PC where it's better. There's no screen tearing or anything like that on the PC. But found it much harder that time around, just playing on an Xbox controller. But it throws a nice little variety of races with a good bit of challenge, and it's just fun to watch stuff get smashed up. It's fun to smash cars, and then when you get bored of smashing cars, it puts you on a motorized sofa or a lawnmower or something like that. So Wreckfest is all about watching replays in floaty cam in slow-mo. Boozy the Clown, welcome along. So yeah, loads of people have played Wreckfest. That's one of those advantages of a game being available on subscription. I know Wayne said he bought it on PC before that anyway, when it used to be called Next Car Game or whatever it was called, before they titled it Wreckfest. Wayne hasn't played it for ages. I'd actually quite like to jump into that on some multiplayer, smash stuff up, but yeah, it entertained me. I'm not going to keep playing it through to the end or anything like that, but every now and again, if I just feel like smashing some crap up, maybe I'll jump onto a bit of Wreckfest. So that's one. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I recommend it. I think everyone's already played it, so my recommendation counts for nothing. But again, comment if you're watching after the fact. Have you played Wreckfest? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Nobody hates it. Nobody hates Wreckfest. That's good to know. And the last one that I played for the week just gone, I've said for a little while that I've been trying to decide which big game to get my teeth into. What was the one that I previously played that I just completed? I don't know. I completed something big, and I decided my next one was going to be either Yakuza Like a Dragon, Decade, welcome along, Yakuza Like a Dragon, or Horizon Forbidden West. Those were the kind of leading contenders for the big game that I would get into next. So I went for Octopath Traveler, and I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking. Isla hates Wreckfest, but she's lying. Wasn't it Destruction Derby? Wreckfest was never called Destruction Derby, but Destruction Derby is a clear influence on it. It was called Next Car Game, I think. But yeah, I went for Octopath Traveler, which is a game that I can already tell is going to demand like 1,000,000 hours. So it was a stupid choice. If I wanted to get through, Dying Light 2 is another example. That could have been on the list. There's loads of big games that I haven't played, haven't got through, and really intended to. And it's going to be so long until I get onto it. So if you haven't played Octopath Traveler, it spent a year of its life as a Nintendo Switch exclusive. So I understand if you haven't played it, because Nintendo Switch. Yeah. But beside that, it's on GamePass now on Xbox and PC. You can get it on everything. Am I taking my Switch on holiday? No, I'm not. So for people wondering what holiday, after the show today, tomorrow morning, I'm just off for the weekend. Won't be back until Monday. Not a long holiday, and even if it was, no, I wouldn't be taking the Switch. I don't do remote portable gaming. That's why the Switch is so disappointing to me. Where am I going? Nowhere far, Tony. Just to Centre Parks, a couple of hours away, which children's love. Yakuza Like a Dragon has a 5-hour cutscene with occasional gameplay to start out. So Boozy the Clown, you're not wrong. I've started Yakuza Like a Dragon for the sake of getting one of these tasty backgrounds for this show. And there were definitely so many cutscenes that I decided it's not a game to stream. But it does, like, Yakuza has definitely got its hooks in me. I definitely want to play it. I liked that starting masses of cutscenes, and I want to get into it, and I will. But for some reason I started Octopath Traveler, and it's called Octopath Traveler because you have 8 characters, and you pick any of the 8 to start your game, and then you wander around and collect the other 8 or the other 7 as you go, and it tells all of their stories chaptered individually. So they kind of intertwined, but you can follow each one's story chapter by chapter, which is a nice way of doing it, because Japanese RPGs in the past, like, I'm going to use Final Fantasy VII as an example, but it's not a good example because it's ancient. But they had a habit of, well, the typical structure of a Japanese RPG is you pick up characters as you go in your party, and then certain locations will be tied to the story of certain characters, and you just play them through in the order that it gives you. Octopath Traveler, their stories are asynchronous. They happen concurrently, and you can do them however you choose. And it's fine. It's ugly if you haven't seen it. If I should bring up a trailer, that's what I should do. That's what I should do. It's not pretty unless you like pixel art, which I don't care for. That's a question, by the way. Do you like games that use pixel art and try and look all retro? I don't care for them myself. Which isn't to say I won't play anything that chooses a pixel art style, but it's not a selling point to me. It's massive yes yelled from Isla. You love pixel art. Give me some examples, Isla. What games have you played that use pixel art? AVJ, I think that says AVJ also loves the pixel art. Painful Discourse, depends on the game and the style. Breeze the Cloud got as far as litter cart collecting for yen as a homeless exile Yakuza. Spoilers. You're going to return to it one day. I'm not bullying you for not playing games, but Stardew Valley is a good example. So for me, I'm going to bring up this Octopath Traveler trailer. Octopath Traveler. I can't type. Trailer. Somebody put a hash in my typing. Let's watch the Switch launch trailer. Why not? Why not? So this looks even uglier than the game looks on the Xbox because it's the Switch version. So Switch can't do anything right. Octopath Traveler, anyway. It's deceiving us by showing a nice art style. This is what the characters are supposed to look like, and this is news to me. I hadn't actually seen this before. In game, they look nothing like that. It's actually quite difficult to discern what they're supposed to look like. This is what they actually look like. Yeah. It doesn't add to it to me. If they had like a more modernized art style, I'd be fine. Wayne will play anything. Octopath Travels. So personally, like the Castlevania games. Yeah, they're obviously like massively popular, but they started old. They started as pixel art when pixel art was just how games were made. And there are some really striking examples of pixel art, like it's the one beginning with R that's coming out on Xbox soon. That looks really good. It's like a cyberpunk pixel art affair. But Octopath Traveler, I think would look better without pixel art. I say the pixel art isn't a selling point for me though. It's also, it doesn't massively put me off of games. So I'm playing through this and I'm having a good time with it. I'm about 4 hours in with too much time on the pause screens. Collecting up my characters. I've got 4 of the 8 in my team so far, and each of them are through their chapter 1 of the story. I'm going to collect the next 4 and then I'm going to start working through all of their chapter 2s. And the worst part of its art style actually isn't even its art style. So it's got this horrible depth of field effect. Oh, someone must remember the cyber pixel art game. What's it called? It's a side-scrolling one. It definitely begins with R. And when I say definitely, I don't mean definitely at all. But I'm pulling an R from somewhere in my mind. Death Trash and Carrion look ace in pixel art from the new one. See, I don't know Death Trash. Carrion, yeah, that's what I am very familiar with. Yeah, I'm going to stop watching this trailer before it spoils things for me. It's only a launch trailer, so it's safe to watch. But it's a game that has done enough that I'm probably going to play it through to the end before I dig into another big one. So long as I can remember where I was by the time I get back from holiday. Oh, it's showing the battle system. That's not so bad. That's all flashy like. It said it was showing the battle system and it lied. Did just give me a good reminder though. If you don't like RNG battles, so as in random encounters, traditional old style Japanese RPGs where you walk around and if you walk for too long it throws you into an encounter. The game is ruthless with them. They're so frequent. And one of my characters has a perk that will reduce the frequency of them, but if I equip that then my characters will end up underleveled. So I just have to embrace the frequency of random battles everywhere you want to explore. And it's got, again, being very traditional JRPG, it's got that level structure where you've got a clear path through the level, so you know that you have to go down every other path that you can possibly see to get all the treasure chests. You can't go the right way because that's the wrong way. Going the wrong way is what you need to do in all of these games. Something that games have taught us all as we've grown up. Always pick the wrong way. And this game is full of wrong ways, and usually the treasure at the end of it is crap. But apart from that, good times. Mind you play a lot of Shell Shock Live on ZBOZ. ZBOZ. I'm going to let you clarify that one for me. Don't know what it is, but thank you for the huge kiss you put at the end of it. Going to take that as a kiss. Oh, Xbox. Of course, ZBOS makes sense. You're talking Xbox. Could have substituted that myself. Oh, and thank you, Patrick. Patrick has got the pixel art game I was looking for. It is called Replaced. Octopath Traveler can go away. I'm going to just bring that one up for the sake of conversation. Replaced trailer on some dodgy channel. Sure. ZBOS is your favourite console. You know, it's got... The ZBOS doesn't have any Console Warrior fans to get on my nerve on social media, so I'm all for it. Tony with all the kisses, thank you. We're doing Fortnite next Tuesday, so Tony is after playing Fortnite because of the Dragon Ball stuff. I have Fortnite installed, I think, so yeah, sure, Tony, I'll play Fortnite with you. I'm not a Fortnite player. And I installed Fortnite to try its no build mode. Has anyone played Fortnite since the no build mode? Does anyone like Fortnite currently? I found no build mode bad. So Fortnite's caught between a rock and a hard place for me because the build mode is full of like mega nerds that build massive structures in seconds, and it's not fun because you need to go and like learn to properly build in that game. But the no build mode suffers because the world is designed for building very clearly. It's open and weird. So it doesn't make a good no build game, and it doesn't make a good build game for me. But I will play it NOA with all of the ray tracing and stuff. Yes, this was shown in the 2021 Xbox showcase. And it's modern pixel art. You can see from all of the lighting and stuff that's going on with it. But it's not pixely because it needs to be. But this one isn't even entirely pixely. The characters obviously are. But... Replaced. Pixel art done right. There has been no news on Replaced for quite a long time, Tony, no. Wayne has played Fortnite twice and died almost instantly. If you play it again, Wayne, I think you'll win your next 3 games. And Painful Discourse has said that the last night looked similar to Replaced. Yes, the last night was revealed about a year prior. There's some... I think there was some tension between the two developers. I can't remember. I don't know the story. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but... The last night did Replace before Replace, but never came out and possibly never will. Well, Patrick, yes. That's why I say that. I see a lot of people jumping onto Fortnite and being like, wow, I won, I'm the best. And yeah, it's up against lots of bots. You gotta hide and sneak. No, Tony, nobody does stealth. Don't be a coward on any game ever, even a stealth game. If you're playing a game that says get through this level without being detected, throw the controller down and make as much noise as you can. The last night I had a dope trailer with music from Lawn. I didn't know it had music from Lawn. I knew it had good trailers, and yeah, looked good. Looked good. What's next? Let's move on to the proper topics, shall we? Let's move on to the proper topics. Oh, no, first I want to ask you just quickly, has anyone played 2 Point Campus or Cult of the Lamb? Because I want to know what you think of those 2 games in particular, if you've had a go at them. Cult of the Lamb's only been out for like a number of hours. It came out today, so maybe no in-depth feedback on there. But if you are intending on getting it, then say that. And 2 Point Campus, I intend to play. I've got it downloaded. It's weird. I actually think 2 Point Hospital probably appeals to me more than 2 Point Campus. And I've been waiting to get around to 2 Point Hospital for the last 3 years or whatever. But Campus might take a little shortcut and get in there first. All in the wait for 2 Point Theme Park that has to come one day, right? Last night I had a trailer in 2017. Yep. It's how long games take to make, apparently. So, the main bit of news this week, and saying news with the quotation marks, is more ongoing stuff. I'm sure you've all seen this, but more ongoing stuff from the Activision-Blizzard Microsoft acquisition regulators, the stuff that Sony said. So last week we spoke a bit about Sony's complaint that they couldn't make anything like Call of Duty, they couldn't compete with it, and all the rest of it. Saucy news this week. Is it saucy? I found it really underwhelming. But the bit this week that's doing the rounds is Microsoft have responded quite strongly. They said that Sony's complaints, they actually called them incoherent, which was an interesting choice of words. They said Sony's complaints are incoherent because this is some minor boring stuff about Call of Duty can't be its own category. That's silly and nonsense, which is fine. And they also said, they pointed out that Sony's whole strategy for the last kind of 20 years has been around exclusive content. And the little detail that's got people all in a tizzy is that they said that Sony have been paying to block games from coming onto GamePass. And that was presented as explosive news. And I read it and was like, yeah, we know this. This is a thing that we've known for quite a long time. The most clear evidence that we had of it was the contracts that lead. We'd literally seen the contracts that Sony had with Capcom for Resident Evil Village, where it specifically says you can't put this game onto Game Pass. So it wasn't news. There's been no examples of games that were marketed by Sony that were then put onto Game Pass. So we know this, and we know that Sony have been this company since they came into the market with the PlayStation 1. We know that they money-hatted things like Tomb Raider, and they money-hatted the old Grand Theft Autos and things like that. And they used this platform exclusivity to push their competitors, in Sega's case, like right out of the market. In Nintendo's case, they just pushed them to be what they are now. So, first of all, let's get these questions in. First question for you. So, I'm not going to ask you if you think it's true, because it's definitely true. Sony are definitely doing this. Do you think that they are evil for doing this, or is it like all's fair in love and war? These are just part of business, and everyone should compete in the same way and try and pay for this kind of exclusivity. That's the first question. For me, there's different kinds of platform exclusivity. The kind that I hate, which is my answer to the question that I just asked, the kind that I hate is when companies use their money to deny other people content. And there's different ways of doing it. So you can look at, and this is where things get complicated, because we don't always know what's going on behind closed doors, and in theory we shouldn't know what's going on behind closed doors. But for example, Final Fantasy 16, Sony have money-hatted for like a year or two, and there is no way that game wasn't coming to Xbox if Sony hadn't handed over a bag of cash. You can look at Final Fantasy 7 and say the same thing most likely, but Final Fantasy 16, 15, 13 did fine on Xbox. There's absolutely no way that Square Enix were keeping that game off of the Xbox platform unless Sony handed over that money. And that money's not useful to anyone. And so we as people playing these games benefit in no way whatsoever. We don't get a game that we wouldn't have got. They're not pouring money into improving the quality of the game. They're just saying, don't let those people over there play it. It's ours. For me, I've got no time for that. I dislike that. Then there's the other kind of exclusives, where a lot of people say this is the case for Street Fighter V. It's a bad example because it's very debatable whether this is the case. Let's say maybe Microsoft's involvement with Titanfall, or in fact all of the second party deals that Microsoft have got and Sony have got. So when Sony funded Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls from Quantic Dream, or when Microsoft funded Age of Empires 4 with who did they use? They used Relic or someone. I don't know. But you get second party deals where a publisher says we would like a particular game to be made, and we're going to go out to a third party, to a developer, and we're going to get it made, and we're going to pay money for that. And because we're paying money for that, we want it to stay on our platform. And in that scenario, we as people playing games benefit from that, because the game that is there at the end of it probably wouldn't have existed otherwise. So that's that's the benefit of competition between these platform holders, is when they put money into the hobby and we reap the rewards. And the thing that makes it so murky is, as I said before, sometimes we're not going to know what has happened. Evening, Tom909. Ooh. New name around here. Good to see you. Bloodborne is one of the best Sony examples that you can think of there. Yeah, Tom, that is a good example. So, Sony did more than just fund that one. So Sony's Japan studio did help with the development as well. But yeah, they put money into it with From Software. Of course, they made it exclusive to their platform, and the result of that was a game that some people absolutely love, keeping their top 5 of all time and all the rest of it. So yeah, good example. Bloodborne is... yeah. Relic is correct. Thank you, Isla. I do remember some things every now and again. So... but then, on the other hand, so for me, with Sony in particular... I look at their history, and I liked Sega consoles when Sony came into the scene. And I look at their history and the way that they bullied people in the industry then, and I don't like it. And what I see a lot of people doing from the Xbox side of things now is relishing the fact that Sony are getting a taste of their own medicine. Is there anyone here that's on that train that sees Microsoft coming in? So Sony come in bullying everyone with their money, and then somebody bigger comes in with even more money and starts bullying Sony. And I kind of understand the perspective, like, yeah, it's about time they got what they deserve. Now they're playing with someone that can outspend them, see how they like it. They've got no right to complain. I understand that. But for me, at the same time, they're not people. They're companies. And for me, as a person at the end of it, if Sony doing it was bad, somebody else coming in and bullying everyone out the way with money isn't necessarily good. It isn't necessarily good. Although that's not necessarily what Microsoft are doing either. So far, and this is credit to Phil Spencer. So in the Xbox 360 era, Microsoft very much came in with the same strategy as Sony, right? So they got marketing rights for loads of big games. They did the exclusive, timed exclusive. They had like a month early access to Call of Duty map packs and things like that. And Phil Spencer, to his credit, he came in. They did their controversial deal over Tomb Raider. So they got, I think, 1 year's exclusivity for the Tomb Raider reboot. But beyond that, he said, no, we're not playing this game anymore. I mean, it's not good for anyone. We don't want to spend money on keeping content away from other people. And they stuck to that. And it's like, when you talk about good guy Phil, that's probably the number one example of him doing it. That's good. But then you look at Sony's position against Microsoft now. So Microsoft may not be paying to keep content away from people, but they are buying publishers. And the knock-on effect is going to be that PlayStation loses a lot of games that it would have had. So, give me those answers. Is it wrong? Should Sony be fighting tooth and nail to get as much exclusive content as cheaply as they can? Should they be paying to keep content off of Xbox just for the sake of putting up a fight? Or should everyone make nice? Should everyone be friendly and bring their content to as many platforms as possible? I will say for me, and I've been very, very consistent in this across all of the acquisitions that have happened. So when Microsoft were buying ZeniMax and when they were buying Activision-Blizzard and all the rest of it, I have no enthusiasm for them taking games off of PlayStation. We spoke, was it last week or the week before, when we had that conversation about whether exclusivity is valuable? And at that point in time, the examples that I gave where exclusivity is valuable to me is when the game, the software, or whatever is laser targeted at a platform's hardware or features. So, weird example, but if you had in the previous generation of consoles, the Xbox One generation, if a game was made for Kinect, it made absolute sense for that game to be exclusive. And in the current generation, if there are no good examples of this, but if there was a game that was like laser focused on the PlayStation 5's hardware, laser focused, then exclusivity might make sense. But for everything else, for me, I don't care for it. I'd rather everything went everywhere. I think the industry would be mostly a nicer place, which is broadly where this topic is going, by the way. Broadly where this topic is going. So, let's go high level for the next question. Yeah, Wayne, that's a good example. So Horizon VR makes a lot of sense as a platform exclusive. To an extent, I'd like to see it in the PC space as well. But of course, it makes sense that Horizon VR isn't going to Xbox because you couldn't play it on the Xbox. So, Tony, Japan culture equals exclusivity, and that will never change. So, exclusivity in that sense, and this is coming on to more of a topic on what the platform holders and their closed platforms bring to the industry for us. So, the broad question that I'm going to ask first of all is, conceptually, do we benefit, or in what ways do we benefit from the drive for platform exclusives? And all of it is driven from the traditional console model. I'm going to catch up with some of this. Co-development, second party, yeah, okay. There's some good chat going on, but it seems to be between you, so keep that going because I'm reading it as best I can, but I'm also losing myself in, this is quite a broad topic, so I'm trying to keep it focused onto a point. So the traditional console model that's been around since Sega and Nintendo had their fisticuffs is that the games are used to sell the hardware. And back in those days, hardware was very different, and it all made a lot of sense for things to be exclusive and for people to build those platforms up. From the point that we hit the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, the industry changed quite a bit because the consoles were no longer different and they were no longer really being sold on the hardware. So the PlayStation 3 was a mad box of hardware, completely bonkers box of hardware. Everything about it was like, what were you thinking? That's wild. And that made it an interesting console that you could buy for that wild hardware. But the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were just toned down PCs. They were pretty much the same in terms of capabilities, putting aside the Kinect. They were the same console. So at that point in time, content became more about trapping people in your ecosystem. And this is where both Sony and Microsoft got pretty aggressive in terms of building up their walled gardens. And the console model became walled gardens. You have Sony were making these big marquee games, these Last of Us, these Uncharted, these games that were selling their platform. And they weren't necessarily making those games to make money in their own right. They were making them to get people onto the PlayStation so that everyone buying FIFA and Call of Duty and Street Fighter and all the rest of it were giving Sony 30% of that money. So for me, that general model that still applies today, even as we're moving beyond consoles, we're still looking at ecosystems. So you look at your Xbox ecosystem that includes the PC and the GamePass and the streaming and the console, and you look at PlayStation and assume they're going in the same direction. Yes, Tony, FIFA is disgusting, but it makes an awful lot of money, and if closed platforms didn't exist, then neither Sony nor Microsoft would see a penny of that money. It would all go straight to EA. But if you take these closed ecosystems, the benefit of them for us at the end of it is obviously that it's given Microsoft and Sony the impetus to put a whole load of money into our hobby. Boozy the Clown, every third-party AAA had exclusive content on PlayStation 4, which was effectively cut from other platforms, thanks to the check from Sony. That sucked as a strategy. Yeah, so that is, again, a case of it always felt like it was Sony paying to keep things away from other people. So yeah, not happy with that as a strategy, and glad that at least Xbox are moving away from it. I hope that Sony will eventually move away from it. But the big benefit, and I see all these people always want to talk about how competition is so important. The main benefit for me of the competition between these platform holders is that it has encouraged big players to spend money in our hobby. So next question for you. Have a think about your top five favorite games. Would they exist if PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo were not pouring money into the industry? So if everything was just open and they didn't have this impetus to draw you to their own platform with content, would your favorite games exist? And that's the biggest argument that I find in favor, I like Minecraft. Yes, that would exist. Yes, Sims would exist. See, I don't necessarily have my favorite games. And funnily enough, one of my favorite games would definitely be Halo. And Halo was definitely on its way to existing before Microsoft stepped in. But it wouldn't have been the same game that it is. Star Trek Online, consoles don't matter to Wayne. most games probably wouldn't exist. Yeah, I don't agree with that, Patrick. I mean, things would be different, but they wouldn't necessarily be worse. So, looping back around to competition, and I do say this quite frequently, when people talk about competition being necessary for the industry and say that if Microsoft weren't there or Sony weren't there or whatever else, they said that either that's we'll come back to that. You've undermined my question with nuance. Age of Mythology was made by Microsoft, but not when Microsoft had a vested interest in consoles, so it was different. But no, that's thrown me right off. So yeah, competition. If these platform holders didn't exist, Patrick says they wouldn't exist like they do today, not that they just be on. Yeah, absolutely. If these companies didn't exist, or if they just disappeared tomorrow, the idea that suddenly there will be no competition is complete fallacy, because there are still a limited number of us with a limited amount of money and a limited amount of time. So you could take PlayStation out, you could take Xbox out, you could take Nintendo out, and Activision wouldn't try any less hard to make Call of Duty the biggest, best game they could. And everyone making a game would still need to compete against other games to get your time and your money. So the accelerated graphics evolution wouldn't exist. So maybe, I mean, what generation specifically are you talking there, Boozy the Clown? And you're definitely going back to when hardware was sold for the sake of hardware, which was I appreciate that a lot more than hardware being sold for the sake of ransomed software. That's okay, you don't like graphics. No, you wouldn't want to go back to the era that Boozy's talking about. If it was only up to Sony, then none would have anything. So you're happy for what's happening now. Yeah, so the competition between the platform holders, I would say, is really important in terms of them keeping each other in check. That's really important, because if you have one of them running away doing all of this stuff and nobody else competing against them, then yes, that would be a problem. It doesn't necessarily mean that having these closed platforms exist is overall a benefit to us in the first place. So if you didn't have a platform holder, the platform holders bring money for a start. So them competing against each other gives them the impetus to put money in. They also bring a more cohesive play experience than you'd have without them. So Sauron Grant, welcome along. I'll get to that question in a second. And this is, so the Xbox 360 in particular did a good job of this. It took what was a fairly scrappy marketplace where everything was just like you buy a game, you play it, and all of its systems were self-contained. And it brought in this online revolution, but the PC obviously had online gaming going very well. And the consoles took all of that and made it a nicer user experience. So you didn't need as many applications if you wanted to talk to people and things like that. And you had all of these achievements and your trophies and all of this stuff like that to make it cohesive. Platform holders are good in that sense. For me, it would be ideal if that's how they were competing. If Sony and Microsoft were both out there competing to give you appealing hardware and appealing features. The whole notion that you have to buy all of them if you want to play all of the games is kind of irritating. That doesn't benefit me as a consumer. And this was especially true last generation. So last generation, I had a nice PC. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One came out, and they were toned down PCs. The hardware didn't appeal at all, and the features didn't particularly appeal either. But I had to buy them to play certain games. So that's a negative for the closed platforms. Fortunately, the consoles that we got today, I don't even know how we arrived here, but the two consoles today, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, are actually good hardware. Like, they're hardware that can take gaming forwards, and I'm glad to own them for that reason. Isla, is that you singing? Oh, there is singing, isn't there? So nobody's identified the track yet, have they? The OST for the day. Sauron Grunt, your question about virtual reality, will it be a drag on PlayStation? I hope so. I hope so. Ricardo spent years playing EverQuest. That's good. That'll come into our topic later. I'm a big... So, again, with graphics, hard to imagine, because obviously we don't live in that universe, but it's hard to imagine where games would be right now without Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo in there, because they definitely did push things to a time. I mean, they were a big part of the accelerated graphics evolution, as Boozy the Clown says. I don't think they push graphics anymore. Don't think they have a lot to do with it anymore. They set the lowest common denominator for the industry to move forwards, but all of the innovation in terms of graphics hardware comes from AMD and Nvidia and Intel, really. I mean, obviously Microsoft do have their team working on DirectX, but this is very separate from what's going on with Xbox, really. So I don't think the consoles are pushing tech forwards at the moment. Music's giving you Attack on Titan vibes. I mean, it's definitely from a Japanese game. That's your hint. Might be one that I've spoken about a little bit today. That's too much of a hint. Now everyone should get it. Anyway, on the exclusives, though, next big question then. So we know that Sony are doing what they do, and they're going to continue to do it. So none of the stuff with these regulators is going to change Sony's behavior. Yes, Patrick, absolutely. None of this stuff with the regulators is going to change their behavior. They're going to keep on competing as they do, paying for timed exclusive and all the rest of it. Question is, do you want to see Microsoft fight fire with fire? Would you be pleased about that if Microsoft were let's say Call of Duty and all the Blizzard games, keeping all of those exclusive, and B, would you like to see them really go tit for tat with the third party deals as well? So try and outbid Sony on everything and just do whatever they can to get their competitive advantage in the same way. Would that be good or would that be bad? Or should they, I mean, should they take the high road and let Sony punch them in the kidneys over and over again? Can't really be fire with fire because Xbox exclusives are available in more places. Well, yes. For now. That would be bad. Microsoft is showing Sony where the money's at by opening things up. Phil has stated that he doesn't want to be the green version of the blue box. That's true, Mark. Phil has said that. And like I say, Phil has not been doing aggressive keep content away from the other team tactics. Although it is interesting that people vehemently wanted them to do that during the ZeniMax acquisition. There was a lot of drive and a lot of people that were desperate for Bethesda's games to be taken off of Sony's platforms. For I don't know why. Competitive violence, whatever else. Even Sony don't believe in exclusivity. Jim said that there's not enough people on PlayStation to play their go to PC hard. Yeah, the whole broad strategy of growing a market rather than squeezing it harder has to be better for us, right? Has to be better for us. So Microsoft's strategy is to get new gamers involved. Like Phil's always talking about these 2 billion gamers that they want to play, whereas Sony's strategy and Nintendo's strategy is to take the audience that they've got and squeeze them harder. I think Sony are definitely positioning themselves to do both. Like, Microsoft are all in on their strategy, Nintendo are pretty much all in on their strategy, and Sony are playing a little bit of both. They're squeezing their fans and they're looking at the bigger picture. To watch the internet burn, you'd enjoy Call of Duty Xbox exclusivity. Do you know, it's a weird thing, the Activision-Blizzard thing. There's so little that they do that I care about. And it's not even... Historically, Blizzard in particular have had games that I've cared about. Activision, not so much. I don't care about Call of Duty. I don't care about Spyro or Crash or whatever else they've got. I definitely don't care about King. We'll come on to the mobile thing in a bit. I care about some of Blizzard's historical titles, but I don't trust Blizzard going forwards. Like, if you take Microsoft out of the equation, take the whole acquisition off of it, and say, like, Diablo 4, I really hope turns out good, but Blizzard over the recent years have just been horrible in the way that they monetize things. So the Activision-Blizzard acquisition is not interesting to me. And you see all this stuff between Sony and Microsoft that makes for big talking points, but I don't care if it goes through or not. And like, best case scenario, I guess it goes through and Microsoft culture correct Activision-Blizzard to make those games come out more palatable than they were currently headed to be. But I don't know that that's how it's going to play out. I don't know that Microsoft have an appetite to cut out microtransactions and cut out like back-end monetization, because I don't know that that suits Game Pass to cut out that monetization. So we can hope that Diablo 4 is good, have some faith in it. We certainly can, Patrick, and I don't have faith in it. I'm optimistic, but I don't have faith in it. You look at Diablo Immortal, you look at World of Warcraft, look at pretty much everything that Blizzard have done of late. Overwatch 2 going free to play. We'll see. We'll see. And it's not the Blizzard of old where I was confident that I was going to like whatever they released. Now it's like, you're probably going to make a good game, but you're probably going to be dickheads about it as well. So we can hope. And like, some of that back catalogue that I do like will appear on Game Pass for me, I suppose. So that's a plus, right? Ish. I'm way more interested in ZeniMax, Bethesda, and ID or id Tech. I've always said ID, I'm supposed to say id. They've got games that I like, and it's still bittersweet for me, because they were, funnily enough, all of the VR games that I've played this week have been Bethesda games. So I'm mad bitter that they're not allowed to make VR games anymore. They're some of my favourites. I've been playing Doom VFR and I've been playing Skyrim, and I've been loving both. I want to play Starfield in VR. I want to play the next Doom in VR. I want to play Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 in VR. So I like ZeniMax. That one's a much more interesting proposition. Activision-Blizzard, whatever. I just want it to be over, so that it's done and settled. Activision-Blizzard are not worth 70 billion without hyper-aggressive monetization. Nothing will change on that front. Well, Boozy, that's my concern. It's not so much... I mean, yeah, there's a lot of the value is there, super aggressive monetization already. But this is where I'm always going to... I like Game Pass as it is today, but I'm skeptical that the Activision-Blizzard model is where Game Pass ends up. I hope that it's not, but I'm skeptical that in 10 years' time, it'll just be normal for everything to be backloaded with transactions. So you get your games for your nice entry fee, and they all want more money from you afterwards. I hope not. I don't think it needs to be that way, but I don't know who has the appetite to stop it going that way. Fingers crossed. You're really looking forward to the Redfall portion of QuakeCon. It's a 30-minute presentation. It's going to be... When's QuakeCon? It's funny that they still call it QuakeCon when there's not really any Quake to talk about. But tradition's tradition, I suppose. No to exclusives. Sony should sell their old games to Xbox and let... I would be so happy if all of these games were on all of the platforms. And I could just play where I wanted to play. Like, and realistically, where would I want to play? Probably my PC mostly. So you could say that I'm going to get my way and all the games will come to PC at some point, but it's a strange scenario the way that consoles are set up the way that they are. Can you imagine, like, if TVs were the same, if you had to have 2 TVs if you wanted to watch all of the content? I know subscription services have gone that way, but back in the days of like Blu-rays and DVDs, if you had to have separate players for different manufacturers, different publishers or whatever, like, I can only watch DC films if I've got a Sony Blu-ray player, and I can only watch the Marvel films if I've got a Panasonic Blu-ray player. It'd be wild. And that's how gaming's set up, and I don't like it. gaming's obviously not the same as films. There's complexities in there that see to that, but my fears are well founded. Keep the price for entry low and monetization everywhere. Yeah, it's strange though, Decado, because if the games are properly backloaded with monetization, then Game Pass is a hindrance rather than a benefit. So it can't. My worst, like most skeptical scenario is that all of these games take on a kind of free-to-play model, but the free-to-play model would be hindered by an entry fee. So it can't come to that. It can't be as bad as my worst-case scenario, because at that point, Game Pass doesn't make sense. So the money that's going into Game Pass as a subscription has to go into making actual content. So it's not going to be worst of the worst. It's not going to be worst of the worst, but it's not necessarily going to be as good as it can be. I don't know. We'll see. All right, time will tell. Peter Morland's subscription is great. It's horrible when you pay 60/70 for a game and you get stuck £15 into it. So about a quarter of the way into the game. Yeah, I never get stuck. I'm amazing at games. So if I buy a game and I want to finish it, it gets finished. Honest, Gov. Honest. Yeah, I mean, 60 to 70 quid for a game is silly too. I don't know what I want. So complicated. I'm only joking, Peter. I don't like games to have monetization backloaded. I don't like microtransactions. Spoke about it in the little video that went on my channel the other day, like the hypothetical around Elden Ring. So Elden Ring is obviously a game that you buy and it doesn't have any microtransactions. And if you then added microtransactions to that game, you could argue it's exactly the same if you don't buy them, but the fact that they're there takes away my fun. Oh, let's move on to compulsion loops. I hate compulsion loops. Is anyone familiar with the term? RWK88, welcome along again. Every week, good job. Good to see you. So I don't know if we really got anywhere on the open thoughts on the platform exclusivity and all the rest of it, but it's obviously broad, and a lot of it is a what-if scenario, and we don't know what the industry would look like without those companies. It's not entirely negative what they do. It's not entirely positive what they do. And there's definitely room for things to get better going forwards. So let's hope for that. Compulsion loops. So what drew my attention to this was actually Thomas Sala, so the developer behind The Falconeer, wrote up an article that I should probably bring up, but I'm not going to. Talking about compulsion loops, because the head of Unity, the engine, John Ricoletto, I think his name is, the former head of EA, has been talking to developers about compulsion loops, and it's not an entirely new concept. The idea of designing around compulsion loops has been around for ages, but essentially what they are is designed by numbers, designed by psychology, whereby a game incentivizes you and rewards you in such a way that you are compelled to fall into a loop of doing the same thing again and again. And there's in-game examples, like so game design based around compulsion loops. I would say Ubisoft is a good example. So Ubisoft games will deliberately, and this is why I stopped playing Watch Dogs Legion, they'll condition you to want to complete the activities that are then repeated across all of these districts. So you've got a core narrative running through it, but you'll also go and complete an activity and it'll say, great, you've done that. There's 3 more of these activities that you complete in this district. And also there's 3 in these other 6 districts. And it tries to condition you around setting an expectation of what the activity is and what the reward is, and giving you that completionist desire to do it all. Other examples within games, daily quests. So the bounties that, I think, were they called bounties in Destiny? I think they were. Where you can pick a certain number at once, so you carry your 8 or whatever, you can complete a certain number in a day, and you get your rewards, and you're incentivized to go and do that the next day. If you don't do it, then you're missing out on a certain amount of progression. Which is derived from daily quests, which I hate. For me, I very quickly recognize compulsion loops and throw a tantrum and stop playing those games. But first question for you, are there any games that you play that have successfully caught you in a compulsion loop where you've recognized after a while that you're doing something because the game demands it, but actually it's not fun? So Patrick, you're like me, you give up on games with daily quests immediately. Yeah, they're evil to me. It's bad content recycled, and it feels manipulative. It feels like a compulsion loop. It just compels you to keep doing the same thing again and again. Xbox rewards are compulsion loops minus the game. Yes, Boozy. So that's going more meta on compulsion loops, which is the kind that I hate even more. Any MMORPG with dailies, man. So I don't think they necessarily came from an evil place. So the problem with these big service games is it's always going to take developers longer to make content than it's going to take players to get through it. So they hit a point where they need to slow people down. No, it does come from a sinister place because they didn't need to do that with dailies. So reputation grinds and things like that are how they slow players down, and there's a place for it. I understand that you cannot make content enough for your most fervent players. But daily quests, they're sinister because they pull you back into the game whether you want to play it or not, and they make it a job. And yet people do it, and people enjoy it, or they think they enjoy it, and they get stuck in that loop. And the whole idea is every article that I've read on compulsion loops says the basic premise is that it's a belief that people don't actually possess free will. They possess a desire to complete tasks and see things through, and you can manipulate that to make them keep playing and keep spending on your game. If that's not evil, I don't know what is. Like, people don't have free will. You can hijack it and make them do what you want, and that's a concept for game design. Wow. You think compulsion loops don't work on you? You still have all your quests in No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky doesn't do quests, does it? I only played that for like 5 minutes. Didn't even know that one has quests. The other one, so you also get meta compulsion loops, I would say. So obviously you've got in-game ones, like your daily quests, and you'll go to this district and complete that activity. And this is something Spider-Man is guilty of, by the way. It's the one flaw in Spider-Man. I love the Spider-Man game. I mentioned that one because it came out on PC today or yesterday. For anyone that hasn't played it on the PlayStation. Brilliant, brilliant game, but Insomniac are pretty bad at the stuff that is side quests, essentially. Go and find 10 racing pigeons and complete these 5 activities and see if you can get 3 stars on this little scenario. Like, that stuff's crap in Spider-Man. Despite that, the game is brilliant and you should play it. But the compulsion loops that get me are the ones that aren't even in universe. So Spider-Man's go and get racing pigeons. Like, they've got a quest character and all the rest of it, and they sell it in universe. But it's not that evil, because it's not like they're trying to sell you anything as you go along. The ones that grate the most, I call them meta compulsion loops, and they're things like, I tried to play Guild Wars 2, and it has the trick that mobile games have, and I was supposed to talk about mobile games, so I'll loop back to that in a bit, but it has daily login rewards. So you log in and you get like a prize, and these daily login rewards have like a streak. So Isla knows this because I tried to play Guild Wars 2 with her and Jack, wanting to play it and stream it, but it feels so evil when a game tells you have to log in tomorrow to get your reward. Warframe, again, almost certainly, I don't play Warframe, but I'd be surprised if it didn't have similar mechanisms to pull you in, because it's something that the industry has decided is cool, it's good, and you can't tell a publisher that it's not good, because in terms of their financial returns, like, it's a great hook, it works. So yeah, like daily login rewards, I resent, and as soon as the game throws them at me, I struggle to play it. In Guild Wars 2, there's a good game there somewhere. It used to be a good game, but it doesn't feel nice. I think anything in life, when you can identify that someone or something is trying to manipulate you, it's natural to push back on that. Nobody wants to acknowledge that that they're subject to being manipulated. Nobody wants to recognize that their free will isn't so free after all. And I guess that's the downside of compulsion loops. If you're deliberately trying to hijack free will, the people that do notice are going to push back pretty hard. So Tony blames mobile gamers for microtransactions and compulsion loops. Tony, mobile is very prevalent in the mobile space, but that doesn't mean it's mobile gamers' fault that it's there. It can't be. It's the people that put them in there. It's their fault. It's the greedy publisher's fault. Forza Horizon 5 is always giving you free shit. You don't know why people buy car packs. Yeah, so the other one, so I mentioned daily login quests. The other one that rubs me the wrong way, I would say, is battle passes on free-to-play games. So, and I mentioned this because on the last video that I did, SB put a comment in there about battle passes being good, and I had partial agree and partial disagree. The concept of battle passes isn't terrible, but when they're loaded up with daily challenges and have an expiry date, then they get that little bit sinister, a little bit cynical. Like, now you're trying to force me to play your game as a job. Now I've given you $8.99 and I don't get anything back unless I commit to playing your game every day. So that's something that Halo had, right? Halo, in theory, I don't know how their battle passes have played out, if they've gone beyond the first one, but they said that they were going to set up their battle passes so that they never expire, so that you buy them and you've got as long as you want to go through them doing whatever. So you can stack up and have multiple battle passes on the go if you want. They'll drop out of the shop, but once you've bought them, they don't expire. That was a weird move, because that's nice rather than greedy. That's a good way to do it. So hopefully Halo Infinite is sticking with that and it's coming along nicely as an improvement to the battle pass system, but generally there's not much motivation to improve on the battle pass system. But someone must have examples. What games have you played where you recognized that loop and it put you off? That's what I want to know next. I want to know who's been playing a particular game and gone, you know, you're manipulating me and I'm not playing anymore. Yes, Patrick, that's cool. So you can go back to Halo's battle passes in any order. You can only level through one pass at a time, but that's much better than the Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League, probably Roblox, like Fall Guys, every other game that has an expiry date on your battle pass, because Halo's not compelling you to play in a particular way. So Halo does the old like bigger rewards for your first game of the day. That I would consider compulsion looping. Yeah, Duolingo, evil as it comes. They're just like hooking you into it whether you like it or not, with manipulative reward systems. EVE Online did that for you. The members were awesome, but having to do a daily or weekly item changed the game for you. Yeah. It happened with Diablo Immortal for you after a few hours. Each dungeon asking you for more money than the previous. Yeah, so Diablo Immortal, like, if you want worst case scenarios, then we'll look at mobile gaming. And let's go on to that. We'll smoothly segue into the bit about mobile gaming. So the thumbnail today, Isla made it, but I'm going to pretend it was me. The thumbnail today is like a meta commentary on mobile gaming, because the games that are on there, I had to say, what are these games? I don't know what they are. But at the same time, and this is where the meta bit comes in, they're massive, massive games. Like, mobile gaming is huge. We all know that most of mobile gaming, like probably 99% of it, is free-to-play model. And for the same reason that I don't touch the Switch, I don't really touch mobile gaming. I'm not a portable kind of player myself. But for you that are watching right now, and people that watch after and want to leave a comment, tell me what mobile games you play. Tell me what money you spend on mobile games. Tell me what you know of mobile games, where they appeal and where they don't. Because I'm an idiot and I don't touch mobile games, so I don't know. I'm very curious who's going near them. Dakota says free-to-play MMOs are probably the longest reason why compulsion loops and microtransactions exist. Yeah, any game that's supported by microtransactions, compulsion loops go hand in hand with it. Because they want to keep you there, they want to keep you spending. It's literally the model for the game. So mobile games are almost entirely set up like that, and it's rife everywhere. Like, I don't know if there are any mobile games that don't have daily login rewards. You play Twitter a bit, is Painful Discourse answer. Yeah. Thing is, so when I say that mobile games are massive and significant, so you probably saw recently all of the every publisher's had their quarterly fiscal results, and there's been some really big ones. Take-Two, so makers of, like, they've got their, I don't know, maybe they do NBA games or something like that, but they're Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 5, all of those kind of things. Massive publisher with lots of games. I think last year or the year before they acquired Zynga, who are strictly a mobile publisher, and Zynga make up, I think it was 43% of their revenue for the quarter, and or that might have been the 60%. I'm getting the numbers confused, but a lot. And the other one that really stood out was Activision-Blizzard King. Everyone refers to them as Activision-Blizzard, but King is where that company's at as well. King, so Activision-Blizzard King have like over 10,000 employees, and half of them are King. King are the studio that own Candy Crush, which is consistently one of the biggest mobile games year on year for longer than I've been alive. Not longer than I've been alive, that would be weird, but for a long time. So Tom 909, ooh, I like the ooh. I'm going to keep saying the ooh. You're not getting just Tom because I like the ooh at the end. The only mobile that game that you play is Tetris. So Tetris, I'm assuming that's properly free, is it? Doctor's waiting room fodder. So, but Tetris is so ancient that there must be like actual free versions that don't ask you for any money and don't ask you to play every day that you can just get on with. PC, you don't play any, but you see ads for some that look very interesting. But you know, they're set up to loot your wallet. Ads are a whole different thing. So, like Game On Daily has a mobile channel where we see all kinds of like announcements and reviews of mobile games come out, and the artwork and the adverts are really good. Like you can look at the mobile channel. Let me see if there's any good examples right now. Let's have a little look at the mobile channel on here. Wow, some good looking games. Like they've got artwork that says this is a proper RPG. It's like a game I care for. Minecraft. Road to Valor. Look at that demon and beardy guy. That looks like a high tech game. What does it actually look like? Oh, it's not much like the poster, is it? And that's no disrespect to that game. It might be fine, but yeah, the adverts and the art styles are pretty deceptive sometimes. You can play Minecraft on a phone. Yes, you can. And it doesn't look good and the artwork doesn't look good. So that's an honest one. The ooh is because Tom 909 was taken on Xbox. What's the 909 supposed to be? It's a reference I do not know. And yes, I will keep going with you. Not had many people volunteer in mobile games. Plants vs. Zombies, but you never gave it money. Well, that's because the first Plants vs. Zombies was innocent. The first Plants vs. Zombies was like before the evil really took root. Before PopCap got hold of it and went wherever they went. Yeah, it's Plants vs. Zombies 2, and maybe if there was ever a 3, those are the proper ones. So Tom's been playing, just a free version of Tetris. Yeah. And yes, that was a good looking website that I brought up. It was our sponsor, Game On Daily. Our website is criminally underappreciated. Market's going to get so much better. It's going to get so much better. If we ever get enough money to make it so much better. It does. So, again, my sponsor is knocking on the door, interjecting and interrupting the conversation. It is a good website. It is a news aggregation website at the moment with social features that are vastly underutilized. So it looks nice as it is, but at the moment, Gaz and I curate a lot of the content as a crutch because there aren't enough people on there talking to each other to really get the content flowing for them. So use it, get other people to use it, talk to each other on it, and it will tailor itself to you and your friends and become something much bigger. We've also got our own plans. what that platform is now is about 20% of what we envision for it. So it will go so much more. See, Peter, you love the raw feed. The raw feed on it, for those that are unaware, is literally everything that comes through the website. No curation at all. Raw feed. It should be a lesser experience than your news. Your news should show you. It should show you the good stuff. Especially if you have friends on there and you start talking to them. That's where it really starts tailoring to you. All of the other channels besides raw feed are all curated to a degree, depending on your own interests, websites that you've chosen to watch, and people that you're choosing to interact with. So when everything does get up and running at its best, I doubt you'll spend much time on the raw feed. But for now, that's fine. Game on Daily, Seasoned Gaming and Iron Lords. Yeah, so Game on Daily is different to those. Seasoned Gaming and Iron Lords are both great websites. Definitely recommend looking at them. Game on Daily is, we do have some original content, but not much. It's not really our drive. We're there to help you find other people like Seasoned Gaming and Lords. Remind Gaz to give away codes on Go Live for the best comments again, and maybe that'll drive more people there. Patrick, I would love to, but we can't afford codes. Development on that site is expensive. The return on the competition wasn't great. So, but yes, we will get to a point where we can push it further and better. You definitely can. Anybody can write their own stuff on Game on Daily, and yeah, I mean, obviously I like the platform, we built it, so I'm supposed to like it. But I like what it's going to be even more. It'll get there. Tony, your news, it always opens Gaz's face right when you open the Game on Daily site. Yeah, Gaz's face does get around, I'm afraid. Anyway, mobile games. So mobile games is a bit of a dead topic. Nobody plays them, but I say nobody plays them. I mean, nobody here plays them. Obviously, a lot of people are playing them, or they wouldn't be making so much money. So much money. And the problem with them, or the risk there, is that when they're making that much money on these free-to-play models and these compulsion loops, there's no way that every big publisher isn't looking over at them and asking, how can we replicate this in the console and PC space? How can we replicate this? These crappy low-budget titles are raking in cash, so how can we replicate it? And obviously, for us, we don't want them to replicate it. Don't copy that. We don't play those games for a reason. But more and more you see it already. Free-to-play games are already replicating it. And when you start getting it in paid games as well, and that's the challenge. So you got, and Sony have fallen foul of this with Gran Turismo 7. You'll have a massive publisher releasing a big game, and if someone comes to them and says, like, this game's going to sell on its name, Gran Turismo is going to sell on its name, but think how much more money we could make if we also put in these bastard mechanics. Look how well they work over in these other games. And when all things go terribly, publishers just opt for every option they can, as much money as they can. This is the problem that I have with Blizzard and World of Warcraft. They had, you buy the game, pay a subscription to play it, they sell you the expansion packs. That's a pretty greedy model already, to be fair. It made sense when the game came out, but by today's standards and server costs and all the rest of it, that should be a pretty greedy model. But they still added a cash shop with microtransactions and sold gold as well, because the correct amount of monetization for publishers is as much as they can get away with. So I look at all of the success in the mobile space, and I kind of dread how much of that is going to seep across into my hobby. And that's the other thing when Phil says that they're trying to move from like 100 million console players to 2 billion across the globe. They're not bringing the console model to 2 billion players. They're adapting to reach those 2 billion players. So it's a little bit scary to think about that, but hopefully they still care about us too. That's funny. That's really reminiscent of something that I said about Saints Row recently. And generally the idea that games need to be rebooted to appeal to a younger audience. And I don't get it, because your Saints Row and Halo is a good example as well. Like, if a game is 20 years old, its audience is by and large still alive. Like, obviously there's going to be some unfortunate cases where they're not, but the audience should still be substantial and should still be able to support the game in the same way that they could. So why does everything get rebranded? Why does Saints Row have students now? Why does everything need to be retargeted at a young audience? And the same thing is going to happen on a bigger scale when things start getting targeted towards the new audience. And I just have to hope that the old audience still matters to some degree. Someone still caters to us. I fear a future. Tony says Nintendo is better than any VR company right now. Tony, I fear a future where Microsoft push into the realms that I'm skeptical of. If they stop doing nice things and really push this the worrying side, and Sony do follow suit in the way that everyone expects them to, if they both go corrupt, I might have to become a Nintendo fanboy, because Nintendo are like 40 years behind everyone else. So it could be that they're like the last vestige of traditional gaming that I have to cheer on to get my old man kicks. What a scary future that is. Tony, that's not why Nintendo are 40 years behind. Right, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's do a bit of bring your own topic. I don't think I've covered everything that I intended to, and I think some of it meandered and went a little bit wonky, but let's bring your own topic. What should we talk about? You bring me some things. We're getting towards the end now. Gen Z, growth, TikToks and depression. Hey, depression can span all the generations. TikToks not so much. Fucking TikTok. Talk about compulsion loops. What a horrible platform. TikTok cannot. TikTok must not. Do I think they should do a Captain Scarlet game? Captain Scarlet, and the Mysterons. For those in the room younger than Wayne, I think they all saw puppets. I'm not sure they should do a Captain Scarlet game. Never say never. Xbox will go full evil if they become the market leader. Well, that's a concern that everyone should hold. So everything that Xbox are doing is with a view to make more money. Of course it is, they're a company. So everything good that they're doing, making gaming more accessible and cheaper and bringing it to more people, you have to acknowledge those as good things. And I'm not anti-Microsoft by any stretch when I say that I'm skeptical of where they might go with Game Pass. I'm just skeptical of where they might go with Game Pass. But I appreciate the good things that they've done, and they have done good things. Game Pass itself, as it stands right now, has been a good thing. Not engaging in the buying timed exclusives and stuff, that's a good thing. They do a lot right. And hopefully that carries on when they do get as big as they want to be. Yeah. We shall all find out together, because I don't think there's a lot that's going to stop them. Yes, if you haven't smashed the like button, caress it now. Give it a little stroke. Just gentle, don't need to click it hard. And I will appreciate that. You're just watching so Wayne's just watching a video on Captain Scarlet. Captain Scarlet's a little bit before my time. Hopefully, Isla probably knows it. She's into Top Cat and all of the things that my dad used to watch. But you keep seeing that they took that feature out of Elden Ring where people break in. I don't think they've taken that out. You mean the PvP element? I read that they were rebalancing some elements of Elden Ring, making the weapons fairer and all the rest of it. But Mark with a question, do you think the subscription models such as Game Pass / PlayStation Plus could help insulate the console space against free-to-play? People would unsubscribe in droves if they were too aggressive with it. No, yes. It's the kind of interplay between free-to-play mechanics and subscription services It is really weird. Like, hard to see how that one plays out, because like I said earlier, the whole free-to-play model relies on taking away barriers to entry, which is why you can play Fortnite without paying for Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus at all. They rely on getting that massive audience, getting them stuck in those compulsion loops, getting them spending money. So you're sticking those games onto the subscription service. It's counterintuitive. It works against the free-to-play model. Like, they've specifically taken down subscription paywalls for them, so they have to remain a separate thing. And I'm not sure. I think I've said before, I think for Sony, they're a viable alternative to competing with Game Pass. If Sony don't want to go all in on a subscription service and they instead manage to land their own kind of Fortnite behemoth of a game that makes them loads of money, it is a good alternative. Like, it makes a lot of sense for them. It will keep them relevant for a fraction of the cost. You need like hundreds of games to make a subscription service. You don't need hundreds of games to make that kind of money. You just need one Fortnite. Tony's not going to Japan anymore. You're going to the center of all VR. What's the center of all VR, Tony? It's just to the left of me. That's the center of all VR. It's amazing. Sauron Grant would love a Captain Scarlet game. See, I don't know Captain Scarlet lore well enough. If you stick it in VR and I get to hold the strings and like move the puppets around, yeah, I'll take it. Everything in VR is brilliant. There was another question that I saw there. You used to watch Cartoon Network. Okay, that's not a question. We talk about the games not in Game Pass becoming available to play through the cloud. Oh, that reminds me of a couple of things we didn't talk about. So yes, there's been various leaks. Elden Ring was the first one that leaked. Not the most interesting, but I'll tell you the most interesting one in a minute. So as you probably know, on the Xbox Cloud streaming platform, you can currently play a lot of the games that are on Game Pass. That's how the service started. It's not every game on Game Pass, but it's a lot of them. So you just fire up your Xbox or your phone or whatever else, and you just play the game and you stream it off of the server. Then Microsoft opened it up to some free-to-play games. Well, at the moment, just one free-to-play game, that's Fortnite. So they enabled cloud streaming players to play Fortnite without paying anything, without owning a console. Just connect to the streaming service through your browser or through one of those 2022 Samsung TVs, and you can play Fortnite just like that. Get stuck in your nice compulsion loop, spend your money. Now this week, people have seen, I don't know where they've seen it, I've just seen it on Twitter, but they've seen Elden Ring available as a game that you can stream if you own it. So some people took that to mean Elden Ring might be coming to Game Pass, but other people have taken it to mean that actually you can just start streaming games that you own, which is a thing that you should be able to do. Makes a lot of sense. The reason that I say that Elden Ring isn't the most interesting one is because I've also seen, I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but the Fortnite model was a dig at Apple. It was more than that. It was significant in the Apple case, but it wasn't just a dig at them. But yes, that's the reason that they've gone with Fortnite first instead of Halo. The one that's most interesting, like in terms of speaking of taking digs at other companies, Forspoken was available. Not available because it's not out yet. It comes out on 20-something of January. But there's been a page that suggests that you'll be able to stream Forspoken through the Xbox Cloud service. And that, if it turns out to be true, that is Microsoft walking a line, finding a hole in a contract, because Forspoken is a PlayStation exclusive for 2 years, PlayStation and PC. It's not available on Xbox, and yet you might be able to play it on Xbox. So in terms of like fighting back, that's one way to do it. If they can find holes in the contracts and exploit them like that. Long term, it will just make the contracts get tighter and tighter. But yeah, that's a thing that might happen. The other thing that reminded me of though, Patrick, when you said it, was the family plan. So I didn't talk about it last week. I think the news came out pretty much either during last week's show or just afterwards. The Xbox Family Plan, so Game Pass Ultimate, that you can share with 4 other people in the same country as yourself. For the price is expected to be $25 or something similar in pounds. I don't know. Which is good, right? And the reason that you reminded me of that is because you got onto the way that bought games are shared, and I don't want to come across negative here. So for me, the family plan, 25 monies per month. Exactly, Patrick. It's probably 25 monies per month wherever you are. And you can share it with 4 people. And it's something that I was asking for until a couple of months ago. I was asking for the family plan because it makes a lot of sense. At the moment, I have 2 Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions split across. There's 4 of us in my family. Probably only 3 of us that actually use it, but I've got 2 subscriptions. So the family plan is going to save me a bunch of money because I can cancel one of those and move to the family plan, add them all on it. Everybody's happy. But the reason that I stopped asking for it is actually because I saw Google Stadia's policies and they're better. And it's funny, like Google Stadia obviously isn't comparable to Xbox or Game Pass or any of that. I'm not saying everybody should go to Google Stadia where the policies are wonderful and the content is worth buying. Like, I wouldn't buy a game on Google Stadia. I don't trust that it's going to exist for more than 3 more months. But their policy for sharing is that their subscription, so their $9.99 Pro subscription that comes with its game library or whatever, and any digital purchases can be shared with 4 other people. It doesn't cost anything. That's just the default. That's their licensing. That's how it works. And for that to be true, this is including third-party games. So Google have negotiated and okayed this with the likes of Ubisoft and any other publisher that's got a game on Stadia. Which means that Microsoft could have done the same. Which means they could have just said, here's your Game Pass Ultimate. You can share that with 4 other people. And that's like, I'm not ungrateful for what Game Pass is and the Game Pass family plan. What really catches my attention there is that what Microsoft are doing with the family Game Pass plan doesn't help purchases at all. Doesn't help anything that I buy on the Xbox. So I can share my Game Pass subscription with my whole family, but if I go and buy Cult of the Lamb, they can't play it. So it's like, Microsoft, I like this family plan, don't want to be a dick, but can you do this instead because it's better? And I'm not going to get my way on that one. And no, Google Stadia is not a powerful enough force to turn anyone's head and make anything change. But it would be better. What about you, though? So probably last question back to you. Are you getting the Game Pass Ultimate Family Plan? Are you reducing your overall Game Pass spending when you get a family plan? Are you sharing it with friends that aren't in your family and all the rest of it? Tell me everything. Tell me what your plans are with Game Pass. Sony, you're confused. They released all the details for the Xbox Family Plan. They haven't released all the details, but you can be pretty confident in the details that we have. So the family plan is being trialed in a couple of regions at the moment. It's Ireland and somewhere. I forgot to have my drink. It's being trialed in 2 territories, and you can bet your ass that nothing's going to change. So the way that it's working at the moment is it costs 25 euros, 20 something euros in Ireland. Works out, they've got a conversion rate. So if you're already subscribed, Colombia and Ireland, thank you. It works out if you're already subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate and you convert over to the family plan, they'll convert 30 days into 18 days. So from that, you can reverse the maths and get to a price of about $25 for the family plan. The reason that I'm so confident that it will be that way is because all of the policies on converting that plan right now today in Ireland and Colombia are long-term policies. Like, they're not going to take you off of that. It's not the kind of trial that's ever going to be removed from those countries. That service has launched there. And it will launch in exactly the same way everywhere else. So bet your bottom dollar it is going to come out at about that price, give or take $1 or $2. It's going to be about $25 for the family plan. Peter, you're going to share with 2 of your kids who do not live at home after you see what the actual conditions are. For example, are all purchases on my God. It won't be like that. It's literally sharing out the license to play all of those games, not anything that they buy within them. Do you currently cater for your kids to have access to Game Pass, or do they have it themselves? Like, is this going to be a subscription reduction for your family, or? AJ8, you wish they would allow Xbox games that you've bought in the past to be capable of being able to be played on your PC via the Microsoft Store. You have a massive catalog on your Xbox that you can no longer play. Yeah, like this is a thing that's sadly been reduced. So Game Pass has obviously taken prominence and people have forgotten about it, but there was a time when Microsoft were doing cross-platform licensing as well. Yakuza Like a Dragon is like it, and Dirt 5 is like it. So there are still a few games where if you buy it on Xbox, you also have the PC version. But there aren't many games or many publishers that do that, and it's not something that's pushed very hard because all of the focus is on Game Pass. But that ties into the streaming. So games that you've bought on Xbox, being able to stream them on Xbox Cloud Gaming, whatever they call it. Like, you get a license to the game and you can play it wherever you want. That's Microsoft's kind of vision, and that's why I would rather they copied Stadia on the way that purchases are licensed. Said, look, 5 people can access this if you bought it. Have at it, knock yourselves out, play it wherever you want, play it on your Xbox, stream it to cloud, play it on your PC. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Tony, everyone in your Xbox has access to the same benefits, plus another 3 in the same country, $25 a month. So what's not clear to me, what I'm not certain of, is if you've still got the home console entitlement. So at the moment, you can already share Game Pass with one other person through grey methods of pretending your home console is someone else's. So a Game Pass license and a game license. This is everything. You get a user license and you get a device license. So yeah, Rims is sharing Game Pass Ultimate with your 10-year-old boy. You're on the Series X and he's on the Series S. The family sounds good. You may go for it. If you set up a Series S for your girls room, yeah. So Rims is doing what I was just talking about there, sharing the 2 licenses. So Rims using the user license, I'm assuming, and the Series S as your home console for the device license. And you can slightly push it out if you start having your user account signing in to other places. You can spread the love a little bit more, but typically you have those 2 licenses. The family plan, I don't know if it comes with a device license. You could argue that it doesn't necessarily need to come with a device license because Game Pass you need to be online for anyway. So I think it might just be the 5 user licenses, which is not unfair, I wouldn't say, as licensing goes. How long has streaming been a thing? A year or 2. It was in beta for ages. It's more widely available now. It might still be in beta, I don't know. It's definitely available though. You can definitely do it. You do need a decent connection. You're much better off being wired. You think you invented game streaming? That's kind of impressive. I hope Microsoft paid you well. Or whoever else. Family plan will definitely be worth the conversion with Sisters Family ASIC. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely getting it. Like I say, I've got 2 Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions at the moment, so it'll be silly not to. Pixelbit G, welcome along. You are catching up with the very end. Oh, we've run on to quite a long show after all. This is the very end, though. We were just talking the finer details of the amazing Google Stadia. You have 4 kids, so you're totally getting it. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for families, which is I guess why it's called a family plan, right? Hooray, you're horribly addicted to Power Wash Sim. Are you evil? Are you evil, Boozy the Clown, or is Power Wash Sim evil? How has it got you horribly addicted? Do you have a daily task to log on to Power Wash Simulator to get a new hat? Or is it just a game that you're playing because you like the game and it's fun? And that's like, again, looping right back to the Compulsion Loops conversation. I like games to entice me by being good games, not by manipulating me into playing them. So hopefully, I've not played Power Wash Sim, and to be honest, probably not going to. It just doesn't appeal to me. I get that it's like strangely popular for a Power Wash Sim game, and people say it's relaxing and all the rest of it. That's good. I'm glad for those people that are enjoying it. But I'm not likely to download it. I don't want to clean stuff. It is relaxing. Yeah, Wayne, but you like the lawnmower simulator as well, so some things I don't know if I want to relax. I'm quite tense. I like to run around on a treadmill blowing crap up. There's a big market for relaxing games. There's the like Euro Truck Simulator has a huge audience, Farming Simulator and all the rest of it. Power Wash has no login stuff. It's just a chill game. It's not manipulative. Doesn't make you feel like a prick. It's just a nice game to chill and listen to podcasts and play. Fair enough. Train Sim 3 is coming to Game Pass. Train Sim 3 is welcome into Game Pass. I will not play it. There's too much. There's too much for me to... I can be as discerning as I want. Am I buying Gotham Knights day one? I wasn't planning to. Is anybody else buying Gotham Knights day one? Are you buying Gotham Knights day one, Tony? Do you think that Gotham Knights looks good based on the latest trailers and gameplay reveals? I buy very little day one. It's not true. I buy more now that I'm on podcasts and things and need to be able to talk about games. So I have that extra motivation to play them. Am I buying Callisto Protocol day one? In fact, all of these questions that people are asking about particular games, just assume that they're open. So anybody buying Callisto Protocol day one? Gotham Knights and Callisto Protocol are both definitely games that I will own at some point. Callisto Protocol, I guess I don't need day one. Like, that's one of those games that is not going to get less fun to play over time. Gotham Knights, I guess if you want to catch the co-op bubble, then you need to buy it sooner rather than later. Rims, do I buy games day one? Very rarely. There's some games that you have to if you want to be doing podcasts and all the rest of it. So I need to know certain things as they happen. If I took all of that out of my life and just played games for myself, I wouldn't buy any single player games day one full price. Especially not like full price in Sony terms. If they were under 50 quid, that's different. I probably would. Multiplayer games are a bit different. Multiplayer games are more time sensitive. You need to catch the wave to get the best out of them. So I might buy, if there was a multiplayer game that really appealed to me and I wanted to play it while it was hot, then I'd get that sooner. Story games, I'm quite good at ignoring spoilers and I can just wait until they're cheaper. There's been a few games that I bought day one and regretted it. Can't think of the last one. But yeah, no, I'm not typically in a rush to play single player games. They don't get worse after a year or two, they just get cheaper. PC, you find more and more you want to research a bit before you're buying. Yeah, I used to. There's just so many games now that you can afford to be discerning in what you do and don't pick up. Obviously, we've all got access to subscription services that chuck 400 or 500 games on your lap. So you're never short of things to play, which means, yeah, look into games properly and see if you want to buy them or not. It's everything's quite different in that sense to how it used to be. But Cyberpunk ruined buying games day one from now on. Halo also should never have come out. Well, Halo, at least you didn't have to buy it day one, right? It was there on that subscription. Combat trousers for VR gaming. Yeah, you need those. And VR headsets. I've got so much VR stuff that I want to buy at the moment. This is why I need to change things up and earn some money somewhere, so that I can buy a VR vest and a new treadmill and 3 new VR headsets and all the VR games. And maybe the occasional pancake. Always try and check if they're coming to Game Pass as well, yeah. Yeah. That's, in fact, I don't think, did we mention we must have spoken about Sony's blocking games from going on Game Pass. I don't think we spoke about it as much as we could have done, though. So obviously, like, the first topic of the day, after we spoke about games for a little while, we did talk about Sony paying to block things from going on Game Pass. It's specifically all the games that they have marketing deals with. We know that they're doing it. And if they have a marketing deal with a game and it goes on Game Pass, it definitely will hurt their sales. Because like Peter said this just there, if you've got access to a game for free, you're probably not going to buy it. And there's exceptions, usually loud exceptions. There's people that will gladly tell you that they're still supporting the devs and paying for games that they have access to for free. But that's a mugs game. Play it, have fun. Don't throw money at it for no reason. So yeah, what's the vest? Oh, VR vest. You get haptic vest so that when I get stabbed in Skyrim, I can feel the stab. That's what I want. I want to know when there's like a giant spider piercing my liver. Add microtransactions to Go Live and this show. Yes. Yes, I will. That'll do it. I do need, actually, if somebody could find me 700 more subscribers on this channel, that will be a big help. Yes, that too, Isla. Watch the videos, do the stuff. You're surprised that Microsoft is speaking out about Sony's shadiness. It's kind of nice for everybody that Brazil do what they do and have that open process and share what's actually being said behind the scenes. I'm definitely not surprised by any of it, though. Like, I don't understand. I really don't get the Twitter surprise or why it was presented as explosive news. Everybody knows that Sony do this and have always done this. Subscribers or subscribers? Both. I don't know the difference. Subscrotums. No, Tony, I'll have none of those. Thank you very much. RWK, you have like one friend. I would consider that quite a lot of friends. So get that one friend over. Why not? Only 3,000 hours of watch time. Oh, gee, yeah. Yeah, leave it playing overnight. No, it's like my aim for this channel in general. It's still a Game on Daily channel to me. But it's easier for me to disengage from all of the console war stuff and just have a nice relaxing time over here. So I would like this channel to also grow in its own right. Would be helpful. Shorts don't count. Shorts don't. So if anyone's wondering if you're getting all the notifications, in fact, give me feedback on that as well. So the shorts that go on the channel, they're Isla's goodwill. She chops up my videos and sticks those up. If the notifications are off-putting, then do tell me. But otherwise, I'm just happy for as much content to go on there as possible. You can watch them on the toilet or whatever else. Anyway, chop chop, exactly. Rush towards the end of the show. That is the end of episode 11 of Q&Asa. Don't know how this one went. It was a bit meandery. Don't know if I was particularly concise on any of the topics there, but hopefully it was fun for everyone anyway. If you're watching after the fact, criticize me in the comments or say nice things. I love nice things. Say nice things. I thrive off of encouragement. And that's it. That's the end. Let's go to ending mode. So thanks everyone. This is breaking news that people might not be aware of. I don't think there's a go live at all on Sunday. Because as I said earlier, I'm now away for the weekend. Gaz is not capable of running things. So yeah. Rumour that I'll be appearing in Fortnite on Tuesday. Possible. I have holidays. I have a weekend. I'm back on Monday, so my channel will be quiet, but I'll be back on my treadmill on Tuesday. Gamescom predictions. Oh god, then you snuck that one in there. My Gamescom prediction is that there'll be absolutely nothing. How was it? You are very late. We are wrapping up. I was hovering above. Thanks, Isla. It says that it was me. It was not. Oh no! I made the critical error. I've lost chat now. So I voted on the poll that Isla put up, but because of the way that the streaming software works, I can't vote on the poll. It just takes me to a Google login screen. So anything that you're saying now, I'm afraid I can't see. My prediction for Gamescom is that there is nothing there. So Xbox pretty much set the expectation. They said they're not showing anything new. They're showing the games that they've already shown. And they have a habit of sticking to the expectations that they set and not even trying to surpass them. So I don't expect anything there. Sony aren't present. Nobody cares about Nintendo. Possibly some indie stuff around, but generally don't expect much from Gamescom. And then you can't be disappointed. That's it. That's the end. If you're still there, I can't read your chat, so I'm just going to end it all. Not like end it all, but just end the show. And I'll see you soon.